What is going on, guys? It's Jordan here, back again with another video from the first time we've ever seen this before. This is the engineering mathematics common room or study room, whatever you want to call it. We have some nice laptops there, some study tables, and of course computers, as is the typical engineering lifestyle. So of course, as I mentioned, this is the first time being here. I was supposed to be going home and doing some work today. Saturday morning, I thought, let me get an early start, bang out some work, and then get home, do some edits, put this video out. But then the video I planned to put out today, I'm not actually going to put out. And the reason why I'm not going to put it out is because I got a call a couple of days ago from a random number. It must have been about 5 o'clock. I'm like, who the hell is calling me at 5 o'clock? You think most people will be busy or whatever. Turns out it's BAML again saying, congratulations, Jordan, we've offered you a role. And then this morning I woke up, I came down to the study room, of course, as I mentioned, as I'm here now, obviously. And then the email came in. So as you'll put up on screen now, if you got to see it, I got an offer. Finally, this internship game series has fruited. I've seen some fruits of my labor. And after, 9 episodes, we, of course, now have a spring internship. It's important to mention that it's spring because that means that we're still going to keep going and trying working towards getting a summer. But obviously, pat myself on the back. It's nice to be in a position now where I have something in the bag already. And of course, you guys can see from day one, where I was just looking online to showing you my CV and cover letter, to now day whatever, where I've got an actual position in the bank. What I've got to do is confirm the email. And then this time in spring, I'll be working interning for BAML, one of the biggest banks in the world. So again, shout out to me, that's cool. We still have more to do. And I thought, instead of me just putting out a video now, just saying that I've got it, why don't I actually sit down and do something useful and insightful and actually tell you guys maybe how I got it, like alongside the videos you would have already seen so far, but also, just something useful. I didn't want to put out a video of just me bragging. So I sat down for a couple of minutes. I've got my laptop, well, not even laptop, I've got this computer open here where I've gone through just some of the feedback I've got over the years. And I figured now would be a good time for me to tell you the feedback I've gotten from those interviews, from those test applications, to kind of give you an idea of what skills I have and how I applied that, and how companies look at skills and how they actually value it to see whether or not you're suitable for that role. And I guess the aim of this video would be for you guys to go through and see kind of what I've got and interpret that in your own way, to think about your own skills and your own benefits and strengths, weaknesses, and how you can word that in an application that would be somewhat professional, I guess. So without further ado, it's annoying because even though I knew they were going to email me, I didn't know it'd be today. Today's Saturday, right? So I'm sitting down here, I've got my phone, I didn't bring a tripod or anything. So even though it seems pretty stable, that's massive props to Google for their iOS. But iOS? OIS, it should be optical image stabilization. You see, it's way too early for me to be doing this sort of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to try and keep this very, very short because, of course, I have no tripod. And holding the phone isn't good for your arm, especially when you haven't been to a gym for months because you're lazy as hell. But this is, of course, I got this from PwC. I'm going to put a screenshot up anyway so you can see it like in its full glory. But to be fair, PwC never got back to me, so it's safe to assume that these results are, even though these are the results that are evaluated based on my responses and kind of show the skills I have, unless they get back to me anytime soon, it's safe to assume that I didn't get this role. So take that for what it is. I just realized, let me put this down here so I have to hold it the whole time. So you're currently on the desk. It's not the most appeasing angle, but it works the best for me. So again, I'll put up the screenshots here. You should be able to see the 5 different roles. We have recognition, we have cognition, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to go through it in too much detail because I feel like it's more important that you understand where the skills come from and how it's applied in business as opposed to the specific scores that I got, even though, of course, it's all here for you guys to see it anyway. But let me talk about the specific kind of like individual skills and how they benefit me and how to word them. So the first one here, of course, emotional recognition. I think that's a good score. It's not perfect, obviously. There's only one way to gauge it. And by the way, I'm going to be saying good a lot. To me, I guess by convention, good is just more to the right. Like the right most is the best. The closer you are to the right, it's a good one. But generally speaking, the balance doesn't really matter too much. Like you can be either side of the scale, because obviously I've looked for it before, but it's not too, obviously this one I feel like is very, very good to be on the right hand side. But fundamentally, I don't think there's a specific, it's a spectrum, right? It's not an individual score. So that's good. It doesn't really mean much. I suppose it suggests you're good with people skills. You're kind of aware. You can, look at people and find out if they're emotional or something. Like, the way this was tested was like they just showed faces and they put emotions next to them. So you had to decide like, if they were happy, sad, angry, whatever. So that's literally, I guess, what they're going off of. I don't really know. Cognition is the next one. This is quite an interesting one because it says that I process small amounts of information, but I process it quickly. It kind of makes sense intuitively. I guess it's kind of like a computer where the less you have, the quicker you can churn through it. Whereas if you have more stuff, it slows you down, and you want to process the big picture longer. This kind of suggests that I'm more of a finer details person as opposed to a big picture person. I guess in an application, you want to talk about your small contribution to the overall big project and how your small bits influence the whole thing. Whereas if you process more information, you want to talk about the overall product, the overall project, how everything that happened and how each thing interacted with the whole thing as a whole, as opposed to the individual task. So that kind of makes sense. I feel like for me as an individual that's accurate. The next thing, of course, drive. I feel like I got a very bad score here for drive because it says I'm motivated by reward instead of by like values and stuff. It says I'm slow to bounce back from setbacks, and it says I'm impacted the most by emotion and thoughts as opposed to logic and goals and values, which I have no idea how they determined that from the games that they gave me. I do think a lot of these scores are incorrect. I mean, I understand the motivated by reward thing. Like, of course, you want to get paid, right? I'm not someone that wants to. I mean, I'm okay with volunteering, but I'm not. I do want to be rewarded for doing stuff. But at the same time, I'm happy to look at YouTube, for example. I put out 99 videos now, and haven't. I'm still doing it. I'm not getting paid for it. So, I guess it's interesting how they evaluate that. I also the slow setback I think is unfair. I don't know how they got that either. But then. Yeah, I'm going off on a tangent talking about myself here, but I guess what I'm trying to say is this implies that I'm unmotivated. It kind of gives the impression that when you're not depressed, when you're like sad or emotionally conflicted, you perform worse, so you take longer to get back, to recover from those setbacks, which is I guess what it says in writing here. But for business, this sounds like a bad score. I guess that's why PwC never called me back. But yeah, that's that. Of course, take from that what you will. Interpersonal style is interesting. I got a balance. I think it's a pretty good score, not a great one, but it's a nice balance between my own style and being dominant, which I feel like both of those two suggest leadership skills. Because when you're more dominant, of course, you're more likely to be assertive, push your own styles on people. You're gonna have more of an influence. Whereas when you're more passive or thoughtful, that means you're more of a team player. You focus more on your role and your responsibilities as an individual, as opposed to leading, I guess. Even though leadership again is more of an action than a role, but that's what I feel like. That's what I take away from this. I feel, personal needs and social energy suggest I'm a balanced team working player. So I'm not like a proper that I love to be in a team, that I love to do things to benefit others. I'm right in the middle here. So personal needs, I'm also trying to benefit myself. It's my career first at the end of the day. And I do want the best for everyone, but I'm also, in the middle here. And then the same one with social energy. I'm not bored by being with other people. It's not like I need to be by myself in an office, but at the same time, it's not like I need to be surrounded by a team all the time to be energized. So I think that's a very good, nice, balanced score. And I think what that tells you, as for you guys, is more of a teamwork versus leadership thing, and how you interact with others, and what sort of what that means for you. Working in a team, being around people or not. The final one I think is probably the most insightful, probably tells you the most, even though again similar to the drive one, I'm not too sure how they guessed this based on the games I played. But think actually before I go on to finish this final chapter, I should say that most of the feedback I got over the years has been over the phone when they give me the offer, or maybe in person at the actual event. So I don't have much written down, which is why I'm going through this PwC one in such detail, because I could tell you all the feedback I've got over the years, but you'd have to just trust me that I'm telling the truth, I'm not lying, because as I said, it's all done over the phone, it's all done in person, not in writing, so it's hard for me to go back and think about exactly what I was told by EY or X job and whatever. So this is why I'm going through this now in detail. But yeah, having said that, the final chapter, thinking style, I think I got a very, very good score here. I think it's a great score. Some things I think are better than others, but overall I'm happy with it. It suggests that I'm adaptable, that I balance short and long-term goals well, which makes sense. I'm a young guy. I'm an optimist, which, to be fair, I think being optimistic is good for like personal skills, but it might not be so good for business. I mean, being someone like myself who's a fan of Elon Musk, I feel like optimism is a good thing in some capacity because it means you're more likely to make uh, harder goals and you're going to work harder towards achieving them, as opposed to be just being realistic, just getting what people expect from you. You kind of want to push the boundaries more. So it's hard to say specifically whether that's good or bad, or whether PwC like that or not. Of course, when you go to apply to roles, by far the most important thing you can do is go through the job description and just write down what they look for. If they want you to work in a team, to be a leader, if they want you to be optimistic, or to work towards long-term goals, and yeah, that's by far the most important thing you can do is look through a job description and see what they want specifically. The next thing, I think I was balanced quite well for intuition versus rationality. Like I'm not someone who just does things randomly. I do like to process information. I was given a perfect score, for impulsive, as I'm not impulsive at all, which suggests that I'm composed under pressure. I'm not someone that's going to just quickly snap and make a quick decision. I like to think about it. Even if I have less time than I would like, it shows that I like to think more, which is, I think it's a good thing. Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe they didn't call back because I'm not impulsive enough, but I feel like my upbringing of being like relatively poor has meant that I've never had the freedom to make, snap decisions. You always got to think about whether it benefits you and your risk to reward factor. So there's that. To be fair, I do feel like this kind of like saying that I think things through and then saying that I thinking out of the box. This one at the bottom is quite. I feel like it's a contrast. I feel like contrast a lot because where is it? Here. I like to deliberate carefully between decisions that involve risk. I guess, I got a middle score there, so you'd think that kind of goes hand in hand with being impulsive. I'm not too sure myself, obviously taking up what you will, but yeah, I think I'm more composed under pressure. I think I like to consider rationally, I try and consider the risk to benefit ratio, and I feel like I see that a lot with like video games, for example, where I take a route based on minimizing risk and maximizing reward as opposed to just max reward. So yeah. And then, of course, trying new things and thinking outside of the box. Those two, I think, could be better. I feel like when you're a young person like myself or people that watch this, I mean, looking at my analytics, basically all my viewers are 18-year-old to 25-year-old guys. So most of us, I feel like it's not a luxury, but it's a good thing to be to try new things, to think outside the box, to be more perceptive. Because when you're coming into an industry like, for example, banking or consulting or engineering, where everyone in that industry is older than you and they've been there for longer, got more experience. If you just go to a job and you offer them basically exactly what they have, just not as good and not as experienced as them, it's easy for them to say like, we don't really need you, we don't really want you, you're not as good as what we already have. Whereas if you're someone like me or like you or anyone else who's younger and haven't really been there for as long, you're coming into that company with a fresh look, with a new set of eyes, with a different approach, a new perspective, and that's your leverage mostly. Your leverage is that you have a new perspective. Diversity of thought is a cool way to say it, as opposed to just being like slightly less smart as everyone else and just a few years younger. So yeah, I feel like I could have scored better for being outside the box, for thinking outside the box, for trying new things. I would have preferred to be more to the right hand side, which suggests that of course I'm more likely to do my own thing and to offer a new perspective and kind of have more leverage to the older guys that maybe all think the same way, a similar way to each other. So that is the one thing, like at the beginning I said it's a great score but it's not perfect. That's probably the one thing that I wish I was a bit more to the right on. But otherwise, that's all the feedback from PwC in a nutshell, and of course the screenshots are up here for you to see them. Feedback I've got over the years as well, I think the most important one is that my examples are good. And what that means is I can structure my answers well, the CAR system with a star, whatever, which is context, action, result. But the one thing that gives me the most points over interviews is not necessarily my structure or my answer, because I waffle a lot. Sometimes if I'm feeling sick, I might stutter, I might not give the best answer. But my examples, I always get good feedback for my answers and my examples, because they're just so different. A lot of people, for example, they might say, what's your biggest strength? And they say, my strength is that I'm good under pressure, I revise well, I study well, I got a first class, I did that, blah, blah, blah. And it's all very academic. Whereas me, literally none of my answers, I can show you them as well, none of my answers have ever been academic, apart from like a presentation maybe. It's always like a time you worked in a team would be football or of course presentation. A time you had to lead a project would be a job I done. A time what are your skills, what are you good at? I would say business, negotiating, interpersonal skills, where I've had to go to boot sales and negotiate a lower price. I've had to go and try and sell that for more money. I've had to analyze data online to see what it would sell for, what's actually worth money. You had to go through, churning through data to see what sells the most, get the most profit margins. And it's like, even though I might not be the best eBay seller in the world, being that one guy who says I actually go out and do things myself and buy things in a room full of guys who just have first class degrees and just focus more on their work, even though I might not be as smart, quote unquote as smart as them, if you consider degree as intelligence, just having good examples, like being involved in society, being entrepreneurial, again, as I said, selling tweets in school, volunteering for a sports club, maybe playing football for a team or karate, whatever you do, some sort of sport. Just having these things means so much more than just, oh, look at me, I've got I work hard. So yeah, that's probably the most beneficial thing I've ever got as feedback. And then another thing that I always remember is people always ask me at the end, have you got any questions? And I mean, I don't know what people ask, what other people ask questions, but the one thing I always say is like, if I got this role, how would you know in a year's time or 6 months time or in a week's time if you made the right decision? What would I have to show you during the internship or during the job for you to know that I was right for the job? And I feel like asking that question makes them think about you in a way that it's like, oh, they start to consider you as a good person. They start to see you and visualize you as like the ideal candidate and tell you what you need. And that in some way, like they told me once, one person told me, I think it was for Halifax, like when I was in year 11, he's like, I didn't get a job, to be fair, but he told me that made him think in a way that's like, he started to perceive me after that as that ideal candidate, even though I didn't actually show anything in the interview. And of course, back then I was stupid, but it kind of put me in the right frame of mind in his head. So at least to him, I was like this ideal character. So yeah, that's basically this whole video. It's been about 17 minutes, so I'm not gonna try and go on and on. Of course, I have the screenshots up, you would have seen them before. And if you have any questions, as always, let me know down below in the comments. But as of right now, that's all from me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Smash the like button, of course. Smash everything, be Hulk today. Why not? Shout out to me for getting BAML. And I'll talk to you guys at the end of the month after the Morgan Stanley Assessment Center. Peace.